Good morning, Singapore. Rasathi out here, live on a Sunday morning. Wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about something that's been on my mind. So I did a podcast episode last night about, acting and how serious it is and how much, of your memories you need to dig into to get those emotions out. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about just taking offense because I feel like a lot of times we lead in with, oh, no offense, but, and then we say something quite offensive. And then, of course, depends on the other person if they say, none taken or whatever. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that because that's where you can actually pinpoint other traumas that you need to heal, other situations that you're still not quite over, you still haven't forgiven, you still haven't kind of dealt with because they still offend you, they still upset you to some degree. And I want to clarify a little bit. In most cases in my own life, I found that if I find the need to have to defend myself right away, it's basically a telltale sign for me that there's something there that I haven't really dealt with, something there that I'm maybe avoiding, that I'm not facing the truth of, maybe I don't like the truth of, so I'm kind of just pretending it doesn't really exist until it comes to the surface in a conversation or when I'm, confronted with it by someone or some situation, and suddenly then I feel like, oh no, that's not really me though. I need to defend myself. So anytime you find the need to defend yourself, shows you where you need to heal a little bit more. Let me give you an example. My mom and I have had quite a rocky relationship. I love her to pieces. I would do anything for her. But she and I know each other so well that certain words that come out of her mouth will trigger me and certain words that come out of my mouth will trigger her, and we tend to fight a lot. It's not to say that we stay fighting, because I will go back and I will apologize and I'll try and make up for the harm I've caused, but a lot of times I feel the need to defend myself most in conversations with my mom. Mostly because I feel like maybe she doesn't understand me or maybe she doesn't like me. And it's stupid things that I'm telling myself because she's never actually come out and said any of those things. But this is like a primary relationship that I can give you examples of that will show you what I'm talking about when I say I'm taking offense to something that she hasn't physically said out loud at all. I'm inferring a lot of meaning from the conversation itself. And so I find myself offended. Let's see. There have been multiple conversations where I already feel like I'm not doing enough in the house. For those of you who don't know, I live with my daughter. My mom lives with me as well right now. And I'm so grateful to have her here. I really want her to stay. I really want this to be, the norm going forward. But even so, I find myself struggling sometimes because I work late nights, I work early mornings, I just work all the time. But that isn't to say that I don't also have housework to do. I don't have a maid to clean all this stuff up, and I'm not going to make my mom do all that. This is my house. She's staying with me. I'm happy to have her here with me. And because she's done all of this for me as I was growing up, I feel like I should be doing the same for her. Like you return the favor, right? As they get older, you take care of them. Well, my ego can't handle it sometimes. I'm going to be very honest with you. I know, ideally, if I had a maid, the house would be cleaned every day. Every day. Swept, mopped, surfaces cleaned, dusted, all of that every day, right? I don't have a maid. It falls on me, and I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. But let's face it, it's not going to happen every day. Depending on what the school workload is like for baby girl, depending on what her homework is like if she needs help with something, if I have meal prep going on that day, if I have to cook for the house that day, if I have to do her hair that day, chances are something's going to get missed, but I still feel bad about that. I feel like irritated and upset about that. So that's always running in the back of my mind. I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, smart enough about my money, my time. I'm not, good at managing these things. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, there is no formula for this where it works every time. There is going to be snafus. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be speed bumps along the way. You just kind of roll with it, right? So when I have conversations with my mom and she mentions anything about housework, I prickle instantly. It's a given. I'm going to prickle because now I'm ready for you to say something that's kind of attacking my ability to take care of my house because I already feel bad about it. Does that make sense? So, no offense, but I'm going to take offense anyway because I feel bad about it. I'm going to jump in to try and defend myself, which leads into a stupid fight that really isn't necessary at all. It also means that if I'm ready to take offense at something, if you've said one trigger word or brought up a topic that I'm already kind of, don't talk about that with me about, it means that I'm no longer listening to you. I'm ready to answer and defend myself. Which also means that I'm not giving my mom the benefit of the doubt of what she's trying to convey to me. I'm going to cut her off the first chance I get to show her, hey, I'm not like that. I'm better than that. You know that. Don't accuse me of anything. It's terrible, I know. It's bad on my part. It's something I'm trying to fix. But the point is, I wanted to show you that this happens to me. I guarantee it's happening to you. And I want you to know that when you find yourself wanting desperately to defend yourself, it's because there's a belief in there somewhere that you already aren't enough, that you're being triggered by someone else's conversation. But here's what I want you to also understand. When someone has the courage to come and talk to you about anything, and yes, they have to give you the landscape under which they have this feeling or this idea, and they're describing the situation, it's going to bring up stuff that you're already doing or not doing, because they need to get their story out. And me not listening and jumping in to defend myself means I'm not giving my mom the impression that I'm approachable, that I'm friendly, that I'm easy to talk to at all, because all she sees is I'm ready for a fight no matter what she does. Does that make sense? I'm admitting this to you because I know this is a relationship I desperately want to heal and I desperately need to heal, because my mom is so important to me and I need to make sure that her mental health is also good, not just my mental health and everybody else around me. It wasn't until a conversation with my brother about this fight I had with my mom recently that I realized, damn, everybody else in the world feels comfortable coming to talk to me. They tell me things like, oh wow, I feel so calm around you. Oh wow, you make me feel like, life isn't so crazy and I could actually deal with it. You give me courage. You give me a little strength. You lend me strength to be able to deal with whatever I'm going through. But from my mom's point of view, I wonder if she feels the same way. And my brother kind of confirmed it, which was another slap in the face. I was about to fight him too. But he made me understand that because of the way I respond to her, she does not feel safe around me. She does not feel comfortable enough to open up and tell me what she's got going on in her head. And that's not okay. I'm not saying I can be perfect in every situation all the time, but the more I know about the people around me and how they feel about me, the more I can understand maybe why they feel that way and maybe change something so they do feel more comfortable. My entire purpose here is to make sure people feel good about themselves, feel good about asking for help, feel comfortable with talking about their feelings so they can maybe understand why they do things that they do, why they believe the things that they do, why they react the way that they do. Ever had a moment where you just feel sad for no reason and you can't explain it, but you don't want to feel sad, but you don't know how to come out of it either because you don't know where it's coming from. It just kind of just happened. If you don't feel like you have someone to go to with that, what would you do? You would stay stuck in that emotion for a while until something by happenstance changes that feeling for you. But do you know how lost and how much despair you would feel if you didn't have anyone to go to, or you felt like you were alone, there was no one you could call about this stuff? That's a terrible feeling. I've been there before. And that's part of the reason I'm trying so hard to make sure that people know, hey, I'm available. And if I'm not available, someone is out there available. And if you can't find someone, I have plenty of content that you can kind of just pick through, and I'm sure you'll find what you need somehow, some way. I don't want anyone to feel the despair I've felt. I don't want anyone to feel like they're by themselves and lost and lonely and alone in this big wide world full of people. So when you find yourself in a situation where someone starts off by saying, no offense, but, take a breath, be ready. They're going to tell you something that might offend you. And if it does offend you and you feel like you need to jump in and defend yourself right away, take a beat, listen to the whole story first, and try to understand where they're coming from. Their opinion of you is their opinion of you. You can't correct that. The only way you can correct that is by correcting your behavior. It's the same thing when kids come up to you and say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, and do the same thing again 20 minutes later. It's not for you to tell them, wait, hold on, I had a point here. I promise I had a point. Okay, here's what I meant to say. So when kids come up to you and they tell you they're sorry, and you don't believe them, they can't tell you whether you can or can't believe them, whether you should or shouldn't believe them. It's up to you to decide that for yourself because it's based on the behavior, right? But if they show you they're sorry by changing their behavior because they understand this is what happens when you do a specific action, there's a, equal and opposite reaction. There is a consequence for whatever they've done. When they understand that, they change their behavior, then you believe that they understand you. Same thing in conversations. Let's say the same people call you for the same thing over and over again. All they want to do is vent and complain and bitch and moan, and they're just upset about stuff. And you love them dearly and you want to help them all the time, but you can't afford to always be in that space where you're the only person they go to, where you lose hours because they just want to complain about stuff. You got other things to do. You got to maintain your peace of mind so you can get your work done too. But unless you step forward and tell them about that, they don't have a chance to change their behavior either. Until I have a couple of knockdown, drag-out fights with my mom and start feeling like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Because all I do is fight with my mom. This is like annoying and irritating and I don't want this feeling anymore. Until that happens, where the pain is where I can't bear it any longer, I'm not going to change. Usually for me, it means I'm going to call my brother to see if I'm like tripping, if I'm like losing my mind, if I'm making up, if I'm exaggerating the gravity of the situation, and he'll put me in my place as gently as he possibly can, and he'll tell me, hey, you know what? She's feeling this way too, though. Because he talks to her as well. He talks to me, he talks to her, and he's like our go-between. He lets me know where I'm missing something. And that's why I call him, because once I call him, yeah, I'm going to fight him. Yeah, I'm going to spend a night crying or whatever. But eventually, I'm going to think about the situation and be like, you know what? All right, he had a point. Shit. It wasn't what I thought it was. I was being selfish. I was in my ego at the time. I was hell-bent on defending myself, not giving her a chance to speak to me about what was really going on. I am missing an opportunity to create a safe space for her to want to come to me, because that's basically the name of the game. People gravitate toward places that feel safe and comfortable to them, because then they can be themselves. My mom doesn't feel comfortable with me. That is offensive to me, and that means I need to change something. I can't tell her, no, you can't be offended. You can't, tell me that I'm not safe. I can't tell that to her. That's her opinion. That's her perception of the whole situation. My perception, however, I know what my intentions are, and maybe it doesn't come out as nice and sweet as it should, but that also means that if it doesn't come out in a way that means that she's safe with me, I need to change the way I do things with her. Or I won't be able to create that safe space. She can't create it for me. I have to create it. She needs to feel like she can come to me with anything. Same thing with my kid. If I yell at her one time or 2 times or whatever, and she feels like, oh my God, I can't talk to her about this anymore, that means she's going to stop talking to me about a great many other things in the future. I need to make sure that she understands, hey, I'm here. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah, I'm not going to always be proud of the things you do, but I still need you to tell me about them, because together we can find out what we need to do next to correct the situation, or make it better, or make sure it never happens again, whatever the case may be. If I can do that for my kid, I damn sure can do that for my mom. I damn sure can do that for my boyfriend, for my best friends, for my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, whoever. But the point is, the minute I lose my shit, the minute I am triggered and upset by something, that's a warning flag for me about myself. Why am I so upset? Oh, because I feel like shit about the way I run my house anyway. I could be better. I know I could be better. Why am I upset when someone tells me that, the podcast is kind of, it's not that great because I be yawning and stuff, and I'm offended. Yeah, of course I'm offended. Why? Because I didn't mean to yawn, but I'm also not making the time to go off and, adjust it so that it sounds better, as in to edit it out and make sure that it's as clean and crisp as possible. I know what I need to do. I haven't done it yet. So when you point it out to me, it's like, oh, you made a mistake. I don't like that. Who likes that? But that is a red flag to me about something else that I can change, that I can improve, that I can make better, that I can be stronger about. So if you take nothing else away from this podcast episode today, I want you to understand, when you get upset about something, there's a reason for that. Go look into why you're upset. What is your base belief about that situation? Is it something you already feel bad about? Is it something you're hoping no one points out because you're not proud of it? You don't like it? Is it something you can't change, but people tend to point it out all the time? Like, I hate it when people, as soon as they see me, they don't say, hey, how are you? They're like, oh my gosh, you lost weight. Really? Wow. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for noticing. Captain Obvious. It's awesome. It's a cultural thing. It's what they do. But the point being that if I don't like the fact that people think that I've lost weight, Or if I already feel small and I know I'm losing weight, I need to do something about it so people don't say anything. It is okay to take offense. But bigger than that, more important than that, understand why you take offense and work on that. It's the only way you're going to grow. Shed all of those beliefs that you don't like about yourself. Fix what you can about yourself. And if you can't fix it, learn to love it anyway. Learn what is beautiful about that one aspect that you can't change. I hated my nose forever. I felt like I had one of those hooked beak kind of noses. And for a while, if I took a picture at a specific angle, you can't see that I have a hooked nose. But guess what? I happen to be on TV now. And whenever I see my face, I'm like, oh God, my nose. But I'm not going to freak out about it because it's nothing I can change. Trust me, I could go get plastic surgery, but the minute you adjust something on your face, something else looks out of place afterwards. Because your face fits exactly the way it is right now, the way it was created. I had a friend of mine who she decided that her eyes were too far apart. She wanted to bring her eyes closer. Don't ask me how they did that, but they did something. And her eyes came closer together. But guess what? Now her nose looks out of place. The point being that if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't fix it, learn to appreciate what it is for what it is. Learn to find the silver lining in that. I had a conversation with a young man yesterday who was like, how do you feel about people who, they feel bad because they're not tall enough? What would you tell them? And I'm thinking, okay, I don't think you can get your knees transplanted. I don't think you can graft more bone into your bones so you can get taller. My first question would be like, okay, well, if you were taller, what would you have that you don't have now? Besides a different perspective on life because you look at it from a couple inches higher than you were before. What is it you think you would gain by being taller that you can't have now? That would be my first question. And once you realize you probably have the same things that you have now, even at that height, and even the height wouldn't add anything glamorous to your life, really, you'd stop wanting that one thing. It's okay to take offense. Go back and understand why you're taking offense. What belief of yours is it contradicting or bringing to light? I hope this makes sense, you guys. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I want to hear more. If you have any other topics you want me to talk about, drop them in the comments. I want to talk more. And if you need help, reach out. Let's talk. I'll catch you guys later.